Welcome to another week, another show of Hawkeye with me, Dave O'Hara. There's our buddy Parker Hesse on the screen, going to join us. Atlanta Falcons starting tight end, former Iowa Hawkeye, great defensive end. Now on the offensive side of the football for the Falcons, but we'll get to that in just a moment. Huge show today. Going to do two segments with Parker Hesse, and then we're going to close out with John Steppe from the Cedar Rapids Gazette. Oh, by the way, there's a lot of basketball going on at the University of Iowa, men's and women's. You've got the Players of the Week in the Big Ten, Chris Murray, and also the Big Ten Player of the Week in Caitlin Clark. And wrestling. The Hawkeyes won the Cy-Hawk series, or started off the Cy-Hawk series by winning the wrestling match 18-15 at Carver Hawkeye. Cassiope with a big last match win to put the Hawkeyes with the 18-15 victory. The return of Spencer Lee with his major decision, 16-5. They went 5-5 in matches, the Hawks and the Cyclones did, but because of bonus points, the Hawkeyes won for the 18th straight time against the Cyclones, 18-15. Of course, by the time you see this show, the Iowa Hawkeye women will have already hosted the Iowa State women at Carver Hawkeye Arena on Wednesday night. We record this show on Tuesday afternoons as usual. This is December 6th today. And then the men will face the Cyclones at Carver Hawkeye Arena on Thursday night. Oh, by the way, tonight, the Hawkeyes at Madison Square Garden against Duke. All that being said, Parker Hesse, again, thanks for joining us. Great to see you again. Talk about changes. We're talking about basketball, wrestling, and basketball at Iowa. Parker Hesse and Mariah had their baby girl Hadley 3 months ago from today. So happy 3-month anniversary to your daughter Hadley Lynn. Parker, a lot changing in your life since we caught up with you about 6 months ago. So great to see you and thanks for joining us. How's everything going with you?
It's going great, Dave. Thanks for having me. Yeah, like you said, Hadley was born week 1 of the year. Been a lot of changes, big learning curve this fall for Mariah and myself. But yeah, it's been awesome. Getting to spend this morning, just taking pictures today and looking back, on a 2-month picture, 1-month picture, the day she was born, just how much she's changed already. It's an awesome experience.
Yeah, and I couldn't be happier for you. And you and I have been talking off the air for a while. And oh, by the way, like you said, week 1 of the NFL season, you're a starting tight end for the Falcons. Tom Brady didn't help you guys last night with your division foe on Monday Night Football. The Bucs came back and won it late, but your division's still up in the air. You guys at 5-8. You got a bye week this week, so you're kind enough to fit us into your busy schedule. So, Parker, we're going to get to your Falcons and your NFL career, but my goodness, you and I were talking off the air. What a whirlwind. You're the perfect guy to be on this show this week for many reasons. One of my favorite guests, great guy, fellow Northeast Iowan. You're from Waukon. I'm from the Postville, Castalia area. So I always say I never play favorites, Parker, but you're right up there. So I got to ask you this directly, and no other way to sugarcoat it than just right between the eyes here. The transfer portal, what a different world it is, even from your day when you came in as a redshirt freshman in 2014 to when you finished your Iowa career in 2018. I'm curious on your thoughts. You're the perfect guy to ask this question to. Far different than it was even 5-6 years ago for you, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, I don't have a whole lot of firsthand experience. When I was playing, you had to sit out a year if you transferred out of the conference, and then from Big Ten school to Big Ten school, you had to sit out 2 years. So it's something that you really didn't see as much. And if someone was going to make that commitment, it was probably warranted or most likely in their best interest. But yeah, this, now, like you said, so many kids, guys are leaving. It's kind of crazy to think, just where it's going to end up, because I don't think right now is how it's going to be for a long time. We got to find an equilibrium where it continues to, help kids, where I think, now it's going to reach a point where it's going to people are going to fizzle out if they keep transferring multiple times throughout a career. And as we mentioned off there, the thing that sets the policy at the end of the day is going to be the money. So as long as, programs, they're still putting out competitive games, ratings are still good, that's going to be fine. But if any of that starts to suffer, that's where I think you'd see changes again. Yeah, it's great on an individual basis. There's a lot of guys who don't have an opportunity. Somebody else comes in and takes their job, and it's great that they can find a match with another school that they can help them play. But, there's kind of diminishing returns if every single year you're trying to replace 8 to 10 core guys from your offense and defense, or kind of more role players who want to find a bigger role. That's going to be hard as a program, as a coaching staff. and as a team to build a team, over the long term.
You nailed it right there. The consistency is going to be difficult, and continuity. I find it interesting that Iowa, until today, and again, we record this on Tuesday afternoon, December 6th, a lot can change. Terry Roberts just entered the transfer portal. Justin Jacobs last night. Two guys coming off injury on the defensive side of the football. Most people were thinking, oh, well, yeah, you're going to get some transfers like Arlen Bruce and Keegan Johnson at the wide receiver position, new quarterback coming in, even though they knew McNamara's coming in, they still want to make the transfer. So it doesn't seem to be, either side of the ball doesn't seem to be immune to transfers, Parker.
Yeah, I mean, guys are looking for their best opportunity, and you can't blame them for, acting in what they believe is their best interest. But you will have to see, as things play out, how much, these transfers late in guys' career actually pay off for them, and how many guys are maybe giving away an opportunity to continue building what they have throughout their career.
Well stated, and here's what, and I couldn't agree more with you. Well stated, and I think you hit upon something here I want to finish up with in this topic. NIL. At some point, you mentioned the word equilibrium. I think that's the perfect word. There needs to be a checks and balance at some point.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, the party that kind of stands to lose is the athletic departments. And it's great, obviously, I'm all for, student athletes should be able to profit off their name, image, likeness. They make a lot of money for the institutions, and then obviously the surrounding area as well. They should be able to profit, but a lot of this money that was being, donated or given to the athletic department and then reinvested into the programs that way, is now going to go straight to the players, which, as it should, but it's going to really probably put a strain on athletic departments and programs budgets here in the next few years. So
yeah, well stated, Parker. We'll freshen things up in our next segment, I promise. We'll talk about your experience going to bowl prep, but also your experience in the NFL as you're, to quote the great legendary coach Hank Stram, as you're matriculating through your NFL career here with the Atlanta Falcons, and Arthur Smith, formerly when you were at the Titans, Arthur was a coach there, and it's been cool to watch you two together and see your maturity on the offensive side of the ball. So he is Parker Hesse. He's going to join us for another segment. I am Dave O'Hara with Hawkeyed. Parker Hesse, former Hawkeye football great defensive end, and now an offensive starting tight end on the offensive side of the ball for the Atlanta Falcons. So we'll be back with more Hawkeyed in just a few moments.
To have a strong finish, you need an excellent start. It's true on the track and also in the field. That's why Mershman Seeds works tirelessly to deliver cutting-edge technology year after year. Introducing Starting Line, Mershman Seeds' latest advancement in seed treatment, now providing added protection from white mold and sudden death syndrome all season. Ask for Starting Line seed treatment from Mershman Seeds, your friend in the field.
Hi, I'm Joel from Tice Chevrolet. We've lived through some very interesting times the last few months. Ensuring everyone's safety is more important than ever. That is why we are participating in the Chevy Clean program. At your request, we will pick up your vehicle, service it, and return it after we've cleaned it using the current CDC guidelines. This is just another way to work towards exceeding your expectations. So give us a call and let us show you what it means to be part of the Tice Automotive family.
Make next harvest your best harvest with Mershman Seeds. First, our connection to MS Technologies makes us an industry leader for Enlist E3 soybean genetics. Second, Starting Line seed treatment, our most advanced seed treatment, comes standard with added protection against both sudden death syndrome and white mold. Third, upgrade with Saltro and Trunemco for maximum protection against sudden death syndrome and soybean cyst nematodes. There's only one leader in soybean technology, Mershman Seeds, your friend in the field.
Welcome back to Hawkeye with me, Dave O'Hara. Our buddy Parker Hesse stayed over for one more segment. Thank you so much, Parker. Former Iowa Hawkeye defensive end, football playing great. Now a starting tight end in the NFL for the Atlanta Falcons. So, Parker, we got to talk about your experience in bowl prep, and you and I were talking off air a little bit, and I hope you bring a lot of it on the air because it was chuckle-worthy as you're smiling with me, kind of like James Vandenberg. Far different world when you're doing bowl prep when you're an underclassman to when you're a senior. Wouldn't that be true?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, the more snaps, you're out there playing throughout the year, you're kind of getting worn down. They give a lot of guys like that, maybe an opportunity in bowl prep to kind of get their legs back under their, give them a little time off. And then, definitely when you're a younger player, that's a big developmental time. You're You're back to the basics. You're working fundamentals. You're in physical drills. 11 on 11 type stuff all the time. So, yeah, just like you mentioned, bowl prep wasn't always the most enjoyable time of the year. Just you finish the season, haven't practiced good on good, full pads in a while. Going back to that camp mode for like a week or two can kind of be a shock. But, like I said, at the end of it, at least you got a game to play for and prepare. So there's always, kind of a light at the end of the tunnel or a reason why you're doing everything there.
Yeah, like
as opposed to spring ball where there's no game at the end. You're just out there just banging your head against the wall for 5 weeks.
That's what you said off the air. I wanted you to bring on here. Perfect timing on that, because I was going to go there and say, well, make that analogy about spring ball. And yeah, I know that in bowl prep, also when you get to the city, like a city in Nashville, or in your case when you went to Florida or wherever you went on your bowl trips, you got a chance to see the sites, and they had a lot of fun activities planned for you, a lot of team building activities too. So that goes along with it. Nashville might be kind of cool for the guys to get together.
Yeah, definitely. Having been there for 2 years when I was with the Titans, Nashville's a great city. A lot of Midwestern people love traveling there, spending their time there. So, I've never played in the bowl. I don't know exactly what events they'll have, but yeah, I'm sure that, the teams can enjoy their time there.
Yeah, and you nailed it right there. We know Hawkeye fans travel well, whether it's Arizona, California, Florida. Heck, it's a hop, skip, and a jump for them to go to Nashville, as you said, and they'd probably be going there anyway.
I would imagine there'll be quite a few Iowa fans there.
So you nailed it. Yes, I think they'll need to expand the ticket allotment. But so let's spend some time talking here in this last segment. We talk about your life change, and again, congratulations to you and Mariah for your daughter being born 3 months ago today. Hadley Lynn was born on September 6th, so you're adjusting to that in your life, but also now you're starting tight end for the Atlanta Falcons. I know last year you were working your way onto the roster and getting some playing time. Now you're starting. You had a nice season so far. The team is 5-8, but you yourself, 7 catches, 75 yards, a blocking tight end as well. I see whenever Marcus Mariota or anybody else gets into the end zone, I see number 46, Parker Hesse, throwing the block, and one of the first guys, either Mariota or somebody else who pops up after scoring a touchdown, they go right to you and give you a big handshake and a hug. So I know at Iowa you're used to blocking as well as catching the ball. So except you were receiving the blocks as a defensive end. So interesting the way you've morphed into your career. I love watching it.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Obviously getting the opportunity to play as much as I have so far this year has been great. And really, our offense has been a lot of fun to be a part of. Obviously, we wish we were better than 5-8 right now, but we're still in our divisional race. And, it's just something that, I just try to, enjoy it as much as possible, because we really do have a great group of guys. And, that's kind of, what's, really stuck out this year to me as opposed to years prior.
You know what I find fascinating too, and I just said I've loved watching you morph into your career, new career, truly, because when you went to Tennessee, Arthur Smith, you're now head coach at the Falcons, was at Tennessee with you as an offensive coach and brought you over to Atlanta when you and I were talking last year. Heck, when you were in England and the Falcons released you and brought you back. I mean, you and I had many conversations. I've talked with you throughout this whole process, and thank you for taking us inside there. So that's the cool payoff for me, and it has to be rewarding for you, learning from your small-town Iowa roots and then at the University of Iowa, relationships and developing. That tells me a lot about Arthur Smith, but it also tells me a lot about you, Parker Hesse, that you and Arthur Smith were able to have this relationship, and he brings you over from Tennessee when he goes to the Falcons. That tells me a lot. You made an impression on him, and he wanted to work you into the team and the offense.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I've loved playing for Arthur, and I like how he, structures his organization, his program. I mean, he focuses on having the type of guys that he can trust, that know what to do and play for each other. They're good teammates, and I think that that because they've built the team this way, or they've started in their early tenure here to build a team that way, is why this year has been so enjoyable. Even though we've had a chance to take a lead in this division for what feels like 2 months now. And, no one seemed to be able to do it. It's been frustrating at times, lost a lot of close games. But because, our locker room's made up of the guys like that, it really makes, coming into work every day, a good experience.
And I'm smiling as you're telling that story because that's all I heard about you when you played at Iowa. And obviously we saw that postseason or going into seasons, you were part of the team leadership or the leadership council. You and I and Jake Gervais talked about it this summer when you brought Jake Gervais on the show with you, how it is important. Both of you said what you learned at Iowa. One of the main things was how to be a good teammate, and how that has paid off handsomely for you.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of times, it sounds like cliche. People say, character stuff, but the more you go through life, the more you realize that's probably true. So
keep on keeping on, Parker, with that, because it's worked well for you as you're smiling with me. And you've shown that on this show, joining us whenever you can. And I just thoroughly enjoy you taking us through your process personally, but also team process at the University of Iowa, but now with the Atlanta Falcons and the NFL and some of the twists and turns. And viewers, I want you to know, even when Parker was going through, well, am I in Tennessee and am I in Atlanta? I had him booked the next day when he came back from England and he was released. I texted him and said, are you still good to go? And you said, yeah, sure, why not? So I just find that to be a very great quality that you have and you've shown on this show. So I look forward to our next conversation. And like last year, hopefully when you get back to Iowa City in the offseason, you can pop in and see us. And we look forward to talking to you again, Parker, very soon.
All right. Thanks for having me, Dave. I appreciate it.
Truly my pleasure. You're welcome, and thank you. There he is, folks, right there. Iowa Nice at its finest. Parker Hesse, former Iowa Hawkeye defensive end, now a starting tight end in the NFL for the Atlanta Falcons. So for Parker Hesse, I'm Dave O'Hara with Hawkeye. We'll be back with more to close out the show with the Cedar Rapids Gazette and John Steppe. Oh, by the way, there's some stuff going on with Hawkeye football, so we'll cover that in just a few moments.
Hi, I'm Joel from Tice Automotive Family. We're living through some of the most interesting and challenging times many of us have ever seen. Knowing who you can rely on is more important than ever. Many of us turn to our families to get us through, and the same holds true here. From our fair, upfront pricing to exceptional service after the sale, we truly want to exceed your expectations. So give us a call or stop by and let us show you what it means to be part of the Tice Automotive family.
Who do you trust to produce the best yield? A seat company that's chasing technology or a seat company that's writing a book on it? Merschman Seeds is a leader in technology. We're independent and family owned. Our sister company, MS Technologies, provides access to world-class traits and genetics. And our starting line seed treatment is second to none. Who can you trust with your yields? Merschman Seeds, your friend in the field.
Welcome back to Hawkeye with me, Dave O'Hara. Here's our buddy John Steppe from the Cedar Rapids Gazette. John, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. John, joining us again from earlier this football season, and scratching my head, John, we can't keep up. I keep saying this throughout the show. We're recording this on Tuesday afternoon, December 6th, as we usually do on Tuesday afternoons. I want to timestamp this and date stamp this because there are more and more names being added to the transfer portal, as I said earlier to Parker Hesse. When you and I talked yesterday on the phone to set everything up about what we're going to talk about and say, well, let's change this, let's talk about this. Justin Jacobs gets on the list last night, late Monday night, and now Terry Roberts today. John, of course, that's Arlen Bruce on the offensive side of the ball last week. Along with Arlen Bruce, they all made it official now, along with Gavin Williams, the running back, Alex Padilla, quarterback, a few other names on the list, but now some guys on the defensive side of the ball are on the transfer portal.
Yeah, it's the wild world of college football that we're in 2022, and it's the way of the future, it seems, where you have a lot of key pieces. You're probably expecting some positions to have some attrition. Wide receiver, for example, makes so much sense after what Charlie Jones did when he made the switch to Purdue. It's not really a surprise that somebody like Arlen Bruce or like Keegan Johnson decided to explore their other options. And Keegan Johnson has already had some impressive offers that he's announced. So,
Notre Dame, Nebraska. You know, the intriguing thing to that is Bruce and Johnson still stayed. They announced it early, and then it became official earlier today when they could announce or enter the portal. Even after Cade McNamara said he's leaving Michigan and coming to Iowa. Of course, everybody's excited. But, you know, I want to also go back to something you did on Sunday, or you were a part of on Sunday with the rest of the beat writers or Iowa reporting pool. And viewers, if you didn't see this, I want John to bring it to us. You asked Kirk Ferentz a couple different times, you yourself specifically. The other reporters asked questions about transfer portal, bowl prep, congratulations. But I really give it to you for your stick-to-itiveness. You asked Kirk once, and then you kind of came back again. Are there going to be changes? What's the metrics or the matrix behind some of these changes in the analytics? And well, he kind of so I'm going to let you take over from there. But about the genesis of your question and why, and then also his answer to you and where you are left thinking from here.
Yeah, it's a great thing to bring up there, and it's funny, Sunday feels like weeks ago with
It really does.
all the transfer portal activity. But there was one question earlier on I remember that I had about what's going to be his approach to the transfer portal, and then later on as he was talking about doing a comprehensive study of the season and really a robust review and evaluation, I asked what metrics are you going to be using to evaluate the offense and the offensive coordinator, in particular, Brian Ferentz, especially considering that he had said earlier on that he didn't think anything was broken, which I think took a lot of people by surprise when they saw that offense.
Yeah.
So he didn't point to any specific numbers or statistics that he's using to evaluate the offense. I would have liked to have known what exactly some of that criteria was going to be, but he did bring up some reasons, I guess you'd say, for why the numbers would be lower, whether it be injuries. Of course, every team deals with injuries. Sure. Whether it be difficult to evaluate quarterback with the bad offensive line. Well, that problem doesn't go away just by itself.
I really like the fact that now everybody, all the fans, everybody, the naysayers, you got to see Spencer Petras. You got to see Alex Padilla, who now is transferring. You're now going to get to see Joe Labus or Carson May. Okay? Now Marco Linez is going to come in, or Linez is going to come in next year. Cade McNamara. So all this hullabaloo about quarterback and lack of offense, and I don't want to steal your thunder here, but my goodness, John, you talk about if all the fans want to see this, and this, well, here you go. And now it's going to give Kirk Ferentz, to your question, a chance to analyze a lot of things.
So we have not seen Joe Labus or Carson May in game action so far. We've really even seen them very limited in practice as well. So you have this first chance to really evaluate those two guys. And either way, it's pretty safe to assume that Cade McNamara is going to be QB1, about as safe as you can be when we're talking in December about things that are going to happen in September. So there is that asterisk that there are 9 months in between.
Yeah.
But obviously when you bring in somebody the caliber of Cade McNamara, you're assuming they're QB1, but it's still your chance to see what some of these other guys are capable of. And the other thing, too, you were saying about this being a pretty good bowl game, I know at least for me as a beat writer, I'll take traveling to Nashville on New Year's Eve a lot better than spending Christmas in a Detroit hotel room. So I think of it that way, too.
Or freezing your tail off at Yankee Stadium for the Pinstripe Bowl.
Yeah.
Any thoughts about you that you have going Iowa going into this Music City Bowl, but also any other transfers that you're hearing? Are we pretty much done with this? Almost 1,000 guys again, or around a little more than 1,000. Last year was 1,200. Another busy portal season. Anything else shaken out of the woodwork that you see happening, or are we just going to move forward now to bowl prep?
I think we're probably seeing in terms of the departures, it's probably going to taper down. Of course, as soon as we're done recording this, you never know, things could take another wild left turn and there could be another 3. But we're probably seeing the departures taper down at this point. It'll probably take a little bit of time for some prospects to make their decisions. And another thing, too, to keep in mind is with Cade McNamara, if he tries to bring over any of his Michigan teammates, they've got a New Year's Six Bowl and specifically college football playoff semifinal game and maybe even national championship game first. So it could be a short process. It could be a long process. So I'd say kind of buckle your seatbelt. And it's the new reality of college sports. And it's probably not going back. I could see a situation where maybe the activity in a couple of years maybe tapers off a little bit, just because some players are going to realize they're going to think that they have greener pastures on the other side, and they're going to realize that they really aren't. And I go back to somebody like last year at Deuce Hogan, where he transfers out of Iowa, had a scholarship at Iowa, would have, if you think about it, if he stayed in that third-string quarterback spot, he would have theoretically been the starter going to the Music City Bowl. Instead, goes into the transfer portal, walks on at Kentucky, and now he's pretty far down on that depth chart at Kentucky. So the pastures are not always greener. So that's another interesting dynamic of this. So we'll see what the next few weeks and next few years of this transfer portal world look like.
John, great seeing you again. Thanks
Yes.
for all the info. Take care of yourself.
Thanks, you too.
We'll do it. So for John Steppe, I'm Dave O'Hara, and thanks also to Parker Hesse for joining us early in the program. Obviously, my good buddy Michael Merrick behind the camera. And to you, the viewers, also again, special footnote, remember, in 2 weeks, Caitlin Clark, Monica Sonano, and Coach Lisa Bluter will be joining me on this program. So for the aforementioned folks, I'm Dave O'Hara with Hawkeye. That's all from me. Thanks to all of you. And as always, thanks for staying tuned at the end of the program for these rolling credits to give our advertisers and sponsors the attention and credit they so richly deserve. And as always, to our aforementioned guests and to you, the viewers. That's all from us at Hawkeye. Thanks to all of you.